the brain. This is sort of the things you were talking about. The facial droop is classic. You'll see their faces, you ask them to smile, and only one side of the face goes up. The other side, the muscle is affected, the nerve to the face is affected, and you cannot smile on that side. So the little mnemonic here is fast. It's the face. Is there a facial droop? Arms, can they not, we have them bring their arms up, and if they're weak in their arms, because stroke will cause weakness on one side, they're literally, their arm will fall down. They cannot keep it raised. They can maybe not even raise it at all, and the other arm is fine. So they're really struggling, or they think it's raised. You can get something called neglect, where you don't even know this whole side of your body exists. You'll be talking to them and you're standing over here, they'll never look at you. They don't even acknowledge you. This whole part of their brain is not there. It's very interesting, but not a good thing. And speech. The S is for speech. Does their speech sound strange? Does it sound like they have rocks in their mouth? It's a very garbled speech. And you would recognize it immediately. And it's funny because people do recognize it and they don't do anything about it. They keep thinking it's going to go away. All right. It won't go away. It might go away. Like, I shouldn't say that. It might go away. A TIA is when it does go away on its own. A stroke is when there's permanent damage and it doesn't go away. So we're trying to get you in that time frame where we can help it go away. And the time is critical. The time for getting a thrombolysis, which is the clot buster, to try and break up this blood clot, it's about 3 to 4 hours. At a stroke center, we can do it a little bit further out because we can actually take a catheter and take it right up to the brain area where it's affected and put the clot buster right there. But still, the 3 and 4 hour window is really what you want to think about. So if you can make your decision in the first 10 to 15 minutes, something's happening, and get to the hospital. I guarantee you no one's going to be mad at you. Okay? Someone's going to be mad at you if you didn't. Okay, so this is the facial droop we're talking about. He's trying to smile. The right side of his face is not going up. This is the thing I was talking about with the arm drift. We have to bring her arms up, and the one arm just won't go. It's too clumsy and too weak. Okay. So how can you help? This is another 911, although probably not as critical. It's nothing going on with their heart itself. You maybe could take them in the car, but you need to do something quickly. Please note when the symptoms start. The first thing the neurologist is going to say, because it's a 4 hour, the clock starts when you tell them it was 5 o'clock, they were sitting at the dinner table and all of a sudden they dropped their fork and they couldn't speak. Okay, that's when the clock was starting. So it doesn't matter if you got there at 7 o'clock, we're going back to the 5 o'clock start time as to when the symptoms started. Okay. Don't give them anything to drink. I don't know why people always think they should eat and drink when they're sick, but if they're having trouble swallowing, you just really don't want to have anything in their mouth. So don't give anybody who's really sick anything to drink. Okay. Any questions on stroke before I move on? Yes, ma'am.
So you wouldn't give any aspirin or anything like that?
Well, I had the aspirin in this, and it's a little trickier, because the reason I didn't put aspirin in is, and I had it until this morning and I took it out, but I didn't want to make it too complicated. If they technically have the stroke where it's the blockage, an aspirin will be the appropriate treatment. If it's the bleeding kind, it's the absolute wrong treatment because it's a blood thinner. So what I said was if they have a headache, absolutely don't give the aspirin because it's more likely a bleeding stroke. And even in the hospital, we do a CAT scan before we give the aspirin just to make sure, because we can see blood on the CAT scan. And we do this huge workup. We do an MRI, we do a CAT scan, we have a neurologist, and then we give them a 10-cent aspirin. So it's really, I'm like, why don't we just give them the aspirin and stop? Yes, ma'am.
So, my aunt, she goes to the doctor 4 or 5 times complaining about her arm and her headaches and her vision and everything. The last conversation I had with her is, Monday we're going to the Boston doctor because I don't like this. Well, she didn't make it to Monday. It was a stroke. What are the warning signs before it actually happens that can really stop it? Because she was going to the doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a difficult situation because the major stroke centers have sort of more advanced ways of looking even deeper into the brain than some of the community hospitals. Now, the community hospitals are great, and I have no problems with them. But somebody that's actually having these warning signs, the stuttering speech, and then it gets better, that's the TIAs, or brief episodes.
She shows having sore arm and headaches and vision problems, and they're telling her she needed new glasses and tendinitis and whatever. It was none of that.
Yeah, it's frustrating because it's not absolutely clear. And as I said, the symptoms can be one, can be many, they can change from time to time. And what the imaging does, the MRI and something called an MRV and MRA, they actually look at the blood flow of these vessels through the brain. And what they're looking for is narrowing in those blood vessels. And if they see the narrowing, then they can say, okay, this person is at risk for having a stroke, and they may change the medications, they may actually go in and try and widen the arteries. So I would say I think your aunt probably did the right thing in terms of if you're not happy and there's something still going on, to go to a center that may just have a little bit a higher level of expertise, although I would hope the doctor would recommend that as well. But pursue it, and you know,
If you think something's wrong, something probably is wrong.
Yeah, but then, you know, if you get to the point where everyone's telling you it's okay, you may just be at a risk, because we're not going to catch everything. We do the very best we can, but we're not going to catch everything, and we really try to do the best. So I just encourage you to pursue it probably at a more higher level of care center.